Hello and welcome to American Legends and Myths with Leo and Shaky. How's everybody doing tonight? How you doing, Leo?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Steve?
Another beautiful day above ground, so I'm
Oh,
not gonna complain.
any day above ground's a good day.
This week, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the lost colony of Roanoke Island, and I'm gonna let Leo start this off because this is down where she's at.
Okay, for anyone who's not heard of the Lost Colony, in 1587, a fellow named John White brought a little over 100 folks from Britain, landed in North Carolina, Roanoke Island, and established a colony. And his grandchild was born a few weeks later, which was the first um, English person to be born in the New World, which is what they referred to America at the time. And her name was Virginia Dare. Um, Shortly thereafter, of course, they needed supplies. So John White took the ship, went back to England, which was not probably going to take 3 or 6 months or 9 anyway. And in that time period, Britain had a naval war with Spain, and he could not return. And it was 3 years later when he got back. Everybody was gone. No sign, no people, no nothing. And they found on a fence post the word Croatan carved, and on a tree they found the word carved crow, CRO. And they searched to the best of their extent, the best they could, never found hide nor hair of no bodies, no anything. And so he went back to England. And then later on, we had Jamestown and, some other settlements come in. So the question has been for these 400 years, 400 years, what happened to the colony? And so as it's named the Lost Colony. Now, do you have any questions further, Steve? I might have an
Well,
answer.
Croatan was the name of the Indian tribes down there. I know that.
Yes.
Now, was Croatan also an island near there too?
No, I think, well, not that I'm aware of. I think that it was the name of a tribe. And I think that tribe also lived on Hatteras Island, which is south of Roanoke Island. Not far, because, North Carolina has what we call the Outer Banks, and it's just, dots of little islands. But, yeah, the Croatan were natives.
Well, I kind of find it, if if the Native Americans stand there and kill these people, I think it'd be kind of hard to be carved doing all that carving in the wood while you're trying to run for your life or fend for your life. So I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like they were killed or had to were ambushed or anything, being they had time to make that carving. So that
Exactly.
makes you wonder: did they move off somewhere to another island? Oh, sorry, not island, to another island, or did they move off to the mainland? Or you know, I know the Outer Banks are famous for hurricanes, and
Oh, yes.
and you have a period of 4 years from the time they were left until someone came back and realized they were gone. So somewhere in that 4 years, they disappeared. I don't know how the winters are down there. I mean, are the winters bad, really bad, or
No, not in the sense of not in the sense of below zero temperatures or snow. We do get some snow, but basically it's the storms, the hurricanes, and we do get bad storms. You know, in the winter too. It's not a hurricane; it's just a bad storm. And yes, the um, shoals and the sandbars and the line of the shore changes through the years, you know, with the storms too. But yeah, I agree. Um, you wouldn't be carving a tree if you were being attacked. And so I guess it's always been thought that Croatan on the fence post was a hint or a clue, you know, or a message as to where we are or where we're, you know, going for when the ship came back.
right? Right. Yeah, they left. I think they left them some kind of message. I mean, there's definitely something there. The question is, what did it mean? You know, did they decide to move inland with the Croatan Native Americans and blend into them, or did they, go to another island? Or it's just kind of, I think it was left there for them as a map, not as a distress or anything like that. It seems to me, if you got time to carve it in, you had time to get everything together and move out, not just run.
Yes. And I think most opinions are that they joined in with the native tribes. Well, because in 3 years, and remember at this time too, um, they may not have had the skills, the seeds, the to grow a garden or to know what to grow or that type of thing, and they could have been in distress. Well, when John White left, he went back for supplies, you know, so they may have just, you know, gotten into such distress. And if the Indians, if they could go with the uh, Indians and survive, then you know, that's what I would do. I would think.
Now there was a conflict with the Indians at one point. I remember something about that where one of the settlers was in at a creek or towards the sound or whatever's down there, and one of the Indians killed him. I don't know what it was over, what the problem was or whatnot or whatnot, but I remember there was an issue there at one point.
That may have been, and I know the man's name. I know his name. It was a German name. He was a German. Um, that may have been in the early or mid 1700s. There was a fellow that bought a piece of property near a tribe. I'm not sure if it was a Tuscarora tribe. Anyway, and he had kind of gotten in with them, made friends and whatnot, and he had some a group come with him into his area there, and someone accused one of the Indians of stealing a silver cup and putting it in a bag of grain. And they said they didn't do it, and they got pretty. Von Graffenried, I think was his name, but don't quote me on it. And the once the Indians were accused, a stealing, and they said we didn't do it, and now we're pissed,
Mm.
and they killed him and maybe a couple of others. Yeah, I think that was a little bit later in history, but in the next 100 years. And I believe it was the Tuscarora, but don't quote me on it. It may have been a different tribe.
You know,
Um,
if you start off with 100 people and give a year or two, you're going to lose on that new colony. I bet you're going to lose at least half of those people due to illnesses or whatever, different things, or
yeah,
even starvation, whatever came upon them. I'm sure they had quite a few deaths. So if you took between 25 and 50 people left and went in mainland and got in with the Indians, then how long would it take before you blended in all together? By the time they came back, you think some white people still left. But, they didn't come back for quite, didn't make it back many years into where they would be at. Then it would be hard to tell if there was any other original
yeah,
colonists.
and the Indians too very well. Um, if it was summer, could be in this area or that area in winter, so they could have been far enough out of the area at that time that it was too far for their search party, with what people they had to work with and the elements, the woods and whatnot. They have found about 50 miles west up what is the Albemarle Sound, which comes in from the ocean, a site that they think they might have ended up at least for a while. And the archaeologists have found pottery and some old metal and things. There is it was called barred pottery, I think, and it they stopped making it just before the or just about the time that these people came over here, and the company disintegrated. So if they find this pottery, they know that it has to be from this date, and you know,
Time
um,
put a time date on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's 50 miles inland west.
Hmm.
So the British Museum of History has recently, and this was on the show America Unearthed with Scott Wolpert.
Mm-hmm.
The British Museum of History has recently come out with a map made by John White, the original fellow that headed up the group, and they found that 50 miles, give or take, west of Roanoke Island, there was a patch in the map, and the patch had a red and blue square or kind of a diamond shape, and that corresponds with the same area where they're now looking up the Albemarle Sound and have found the pottery and stuff.
Oh wow.
And they said that when he got back to England again and gave his report, he had gone back, everybody was gone and whatnot. This was the map he had, and that he had told them to go 50 miles. But it never said which direction. He didn't say north, south. We know he didn't. They couldn't go east, but this is about 50, 60 miles inland west. So they are still. This has given the archaeologists more fuel to look in this area, and they've already found a number of artifacts, including that pottery that dates back to that time period. And some musket, metal pieces of musket, and a few things. So that's about as far as they've gotten. There's a lot of evidence, but there's not really enough of anything to be conclusive on exactly where they went or what happened.
Sitting here, I'm trying to figure. He had taken, I believe, if not one, two Native Americans back with him, and I'm trying to remember the one's name. It was something Mito, something. And I remember him taking them back to England, Britain, or where the heck he come from, and must have been England because it was Queen Mary, wasn't it? Queen Elizabeth. Which queen was it? One of those queens.
I do not know right offhand which queen they had at the time. But Mary and Elizabeth are both good names to bet on because there are a lot of Queen Marys and Elizabeths. I do know. Go ahead.
Well, I was looking. I thought it was Elizabeth, but I'm not sure. But I remember him taking. God won those two Native Americans back, and they talked to everybody, and was telling them what it was like in the new world and all this, and that's how he was. I believe got his second money for the thing for his second trip over. So
I know.
we were friends. They were friends with him, I believe, pretty much. The way it sounds.
I know that the Lost Colony was his second attempt. Actually, I can't say it was his second attempt. Sir Walter Raleigh, where we get our capital of North Carolina is Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh was helping to back these trips. He wanted to start a British colony in this area, and the first attempt, only about 50 or so went, and I think it was mostly men, and they spent not a long time, 6 months, maybe a year. I'm not clear, but they didn't stay long, and they said, "Phooey on this, let's go back."
Yeah.
They, like I said, they didn't know how to work the land. They didn't know what to hunt or how to, just. And they said, "Let's go back." And so Sir Walter Raleigh still wanted a colony. And John White was the second attempt. But the first attempt, they all said, "Screw this, let's go home."
It was England. I'm trying to remember, but they were going over to England, and they were also having issues with the Spanish from Spain, I guess, because a lot of these guys were coming over and going up and down this coastline and privateering, and I guess doing a legal way of I guess that was a legal term for pirating, because they were going up and down and taking what they wanted from people.
Well, in later years, when there was a bigger population here, they did the England did make privateering legal to go after the Spanish ships, and then when the war was over, the privateers just kept on, and then they were pirates. They weren't legal anymore.
And
Where
then
we
y'all
get
became famous then with Billy the Kid, was it Captain Kidd and all them they're really famous for being down in
well,
the Outer Banks.
Blackbeard came to Bath here where I live. Um, I guess a number of times, loading and unloading. You know what they steal, they can come and sell and whatnot. And all through, you know, up and down, he was killed at Ocracoke Island or near there. And and it was the Crown, the British backed, and the new American government too. Well, we were still under British rule then. Backed getting him killed to get rid of him because he had gotten so bad. But there's so much history
It's
in North
amazing.
Carolina.
It's amazing how this has gone on for so many years and how things have developed. Stephen King did that short movie uh, called Storm of the Century, and it was modern day, but it was up towards it's supposed to be I think Nantucket. Little Tall Island was the name in the movie, and it was the same thing. This guy was like the devil came in, wanted a child, and told everybody in town that he was just going to wipe the town clean, and he flashed back to Roanoke Island, and he and actually had the carving Croton on it. So it was brought back up as if this guy had done it before at Roanoke, and now we have there's a new show out called well, it's not new really, but it's um, American uh, what is it? What the heck is it? What are those shows that you put people in on a freak show or something? American Freak Show or something. It's been on for a few seasons, and their new season coming up. I just saw on TV they're where they're doing the filming is a whole reset set up for back in at this Roanoke Island. It's really wild how it's coming back in popular culture
Yeah,
now, and after this thing has happened so many years ago, I think it's pretty neat. It's never going to die. Legends don't die.
it is neat, and it's still a mystery. I think more than likely, yes, they integrated with the Indians and went on with their lives. Is if you've been stuck 3 years struggling, or not even 3 years, and somebody approaches you, you can come with us and we'll feed you and give you a fire at night to stay warm. I guess I'd be loading up and going. But
I would hate to imagine what it's like to be on a ship for months, for months and months, and then be just dumped off on a beach of an island that nobody that
I
that
know
you know has ever been there. So I mean, it's like,
exactly.
hey, welcome home, fend for yourself.
Exactly. Gosh, I wonder how that poor woman was pregnant for 3 months on a ship.
Mm.
Because they say Virginia Dare was born just a few months. I mean, I'm sorry, a few weeks after they landed in the New World. And I thought, how in the world did she take being pregnant 3 months, cramped up in a ship with, and in those days, no shower, no facilities, no electricity, no nothing.
Imagine hitting storms out there at sea and the up and down and the roughness. And those boats were not big. People may think of you're talking about a ship, but you got to imagine these boats were these old wooden boats, these sailboats. Probably weren't 40 feet long. They were just little. little boats like you see in the bay
I
out here
agree.
crossing the seas. They weren't no super cruise liners.
Exactly. I agree. What we call a ship now and what they called a ship then,
Man,
there's a big difference. And I would have hated it too. My goodness. And the mosquitoes and the gnats and not knowing what to eat or what, what's poison, what's not poison. And I don't know how many hunters came with them that, could go out and shoot game. There is game and there would be fish.
yeah, but you're only limited on how much supplies you had. So if you even brought a gun, you only had so much black powder, so much ammunition. At least
Exactly.
the Native Americans, they were making bows and arrows. They had their supply. So
Exactly. And they would have needed the Native Americans
oh yeah,
to
yeah.
teach them and tell them,
I'm
you
sure
know.
there's plentiful seafood there, crabs and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
you can't.
but
I imagine you'd have to have more.
but how long did it take them to figure out that they were there and they were edible?
Yeah,
Uh,
but
you-
are they edible year round, or come winter time, the I know crabs migrate south, so from up here where I'm at
exactly.
the mainland, so things around different times of the year, so they may once winter came in, I think they had to depend on those American Indians a whole lot more than for survival than not.
I agree too because the natives knew how to stock up and prepare. And in England, these people did, but they didn't know how here
Yeah.
because things are different, seasons are different, the animals are different.
Well, where they came from England, it was cultural. There was a culture there, so it wasn't wasn't like modern day we have here. But they still had a butcher. They still had people they went to get something done. They didn't have to go out hunting and fend for themselves, but here they did.
Yeah, because I don't know, but I feel like majority of these people were not hunters and farmers. They were probably more people from town,
So,
you know.
has any evidence turned up to show that they may have survived later on, or is it a closed case, or does anybody say any more about it?
The I have heard in the past and read, but it's been years ago, and I don't have the book. I read it then. That was when we read books and didn't have internet. But that in the next 100 years or so, they found blue-eyed people and lighter-haired people among the natives, and they found a certain amount of the British surnames in amongst the natives, Smith or
The English surnames, yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah, well,
that that were obviously British names. And that was years 50, 75, 100 years later or whatever. But so I think they did survive at least some.
and if they blended in, genetics, took over, and it's kind of weird with genetics because people from England are, basically white hair, white people, whatever, that dark blonde hair, whatever, white people. Now, when a white person mixes with a person of a different culture or a different race, the babies will come out more to the whoever it's mixed with. It won't come out white usually. Like if I was to marry an Asian girl, the baby, if we had babies, they're more likely going to be Asian.
Or at
It's the way it
least
always is. It's a
have
dominant gene for some reason. It's a very dominant gene.
yeah, and the tone of your skin and your eye color and your hair color are dominant
So
if
they
you know,
made, wait,
if
if
you
they,
have a kid with somebody with black hair and brown eyes, they may not have black hair and brown eyes, but chances are good that they will. You know.
if they mixed in with the Native Americans, you're going to have some come out with the white features, but it's going to be varied. So with them finding blue eyes and blonde hair like that, it sounds to me like that they found mainland, they found safety with the Native Americans, and they or maybe I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe the Native American killed all the men and just took the women. Who knows? We
Well,
weren't there, so who knows? But
well, that's right. Who knows? But if I remember correctly, and I may not, but it was like in the next 50, 75, 100 years. So maybe that blue eye, well, blue eyes can still show up
yeah,
from grandmama
yeah.
or whatever. But if they bred with the Indians, and then then the half white, half Indian baby bred with an Indian, then you're going to end up being mostly Indian,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
I would lean. That would be me. I would lean to more of the fact that they blended in with the Native Americans down there and continued to survive with them, and
I agree
they
too.
just never found them when they came back. And I don't really think they looked hard for them when they came back. They just realized they weren't there, and they just hauled rear end out of there. So
Well, the John White was captain of a ship, and that was his daughter and granddaughter missing.
yeah.
So I'm sure he looked as best they could with the facilities they had to work with.
If I remember, he couldn't get back at some point either. He was there, but when he got back to England, he couldn't get back. He wanted to come back, but he couldn't get back. So it kind of, you know,
Yes,
went off to be the mystery.
when he went back to get supplies and the war broke out with Spain and he couldn't
Uh,
come back for 3 years. They wouldn't let the ships in and out or whatnot. And
hmm.
so he was stuck and couldn't get back. And that must have been terrible in itself.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
I'd be fighting my way back.
You take a rowboat from England and head back to North Carolina.
Hook it up to a dolphin and say, "Pull away, skipper." Whatever. I'd do something, I don't know. I'd do something.
I think the general consensus is that they integrated in with the natives, but still everybody wants to know where did they go along the way and more what the story was. Um, Now, Scott Wolpert has done on America Unearthed, these stones that they are finding. There's one in Georgia, um, several states further toward the west that they have found randomly these stones with carvings in it that seem to be from Virginia Dare or her mother. And they're not sure. Some people say they're hoaxes, some people say they're not. You can go find America Unearthed and look that up, watch that show if you want to. I know a little about it, but not a whole lot. And that may be a trail that they were leaving as they moved along further into the west or whatever. But it's still, yes, like I said, it's still a big mystery, and we're waiting to find out more as soon as we can, as much as we can.
Could you imagine what life would be without mysteries in it? You know, I mean, to me, it just seems that these mysteries make life so much fun. Trying to figure out what happened and how things happen, and just keep your brain going. It gives you something. Something there.
I
It's not just a
I like
call.
Yeah, I like mysteries too. Just trying to figure out. I like forensics.
Yeah.
You know, how do they solve a crime? You know, this piece and that piece and the other piece, and get it all put together. Um,
Hey, well,
okay.
is this place a Now let me ask you a question. Now, is this place? I'm not familiar with it down there. Is the colony still there? The colony itself, is it a museum, or is it still? Is there anything there that's protected, or the island itself, or?
No, but I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to give a plug to the Lost Colony. There, yes, they have the basic area is there, and I guess I'm not sure if it's a state park, but you know, there's the basic area is there, and you can walk and you know look, enjoy the scenery, and but they have an outdoor drama in the summertime called the Lost Colony. And if you could probably look up Roanoke Island and the Lost Colony and find the schedule for the outdoor drama, and they kind of reenact
Wow.
the story. You know, part of it's dramatization, but the facts that they know are in there. And I've not seen it since I was a child, but a friend and I have been talking about going again and see it now as an adult. Um, so yes, anybody that's interested you can look it up online. Roanoke Island, the Lost Colony, outdoor drama, and that's very interesting too. And that would, you could find more information if anybody is interested in looking into it. There's a lot of information out there about it that I don't know or that I did know and I have forgotten now, but it's an interesting tale and there are a lot of details you can read about if you want to, go look it up.
Oh.
It's right there.
My family, last name was Tarrant, settled Culver. If he was in Calvert County, I said Calvert County, Maryland, in 1634. My grandmother was a Hammett from St. Mary's County, and it's cool because you get out of St. Mary's County, you get up past St. Mary's College, the old city, have actually uh, have found the original colony from St. Mary's, and they've actually found leg caskets, coffins, from digging,
Wow.
and it's really cool because and that's why I was wondering, was this like that too? If it was still a thing, but it's really neat.
I think my daddy's family, three brothers arrived from Britain in 1684, 89, 1689, I think, in Jamestown.
Wow,
So
wow, that's
that's
cool.
at least my daddy's family's been here.
We came over on the two boats, the Ark and the Dove. But that was a long time ago.
The Ark and the Dove. I
Ark and
remember
the
the
Dove,
Ark
two
and the
boats
Dove.
came over, and my family moved over on those boats, and they settled St. Mary's County. We went into St. Mary's and then settled Calvert County, in the early 1600s, and
Well,
got a
we've
lot
been
of
here
down
a
there.
long time.
You know,
That's a long time.
if y'all out there live in an area where you have like archaeological digs going on for history, like it, if you can support it, or read up on it, man. It's really something really cool to get into and to understand. We came here from somewhere, and it's really neat to see how they got here. 'Cause our technology today is nothing like what was back then. I mean, we had technology. They had wood, nails, and a lot of prayers, a lot of
And
hope.
they had to make each nail by hand, one by
Yeah,
one.
yep. You know,
good grief.
if they wanted
Yeah, it is
to get here
cool.
free was amazing. And I tell you, if you ever want to know what it's like to be on one of those boats to ride for several months in, go to Baltimore City to the Inner Harbor. There's a boat there called the U.S. Constellation. That'll give you an awakening of how big these boats are. I could barely fit through that damn thing. It's
We
just like a skiff with a top on it and sails. Nothing.
we have yes, we have a replica or two of the pirate ships that and well, they go up and down the coast to all different places, but they come here through Bath once in a while, and it's a to-scale replica, the mast, the sails, all of that, and they have a crew dressed in the old style and everything, and they weren't that big,
Oh,
they really weren't. And even if the outside had some paint and a little flash, the inside didn't. Or, maybe the captain's quarters, but the crew slept on old straw if they had that.
no.
So,
You had
yes,
something else you wanted to read, or I saw you messing with some papers there. Did you have a story or something that you wanted to talk about, or?
yes, I wanted to do this real quick before we wind up. Hatteras Island is south of Roanoke Island. And one of the theories is either the lost colony, either the colonists went west inland or south, and that would have been, I think, the area of the Croatan. And there is on Hatteras Island. You can also type this in, and if anybody watching wants to, it's called the Cora tree. Cora, like the name Cora, the Cora tree, and it's on Hatteras Island, North Carolina. And the tree is like 300 to 400 years old. And you can go look it up, see the pictures of it. It's still there. And the story is that this woman lived alone in a shack near the tree, and she had a little baby. And when she went to town, it seemed like very often bad things would happen afterwards. And this was the 1700s, if I didn't say that. When she went to town, it seems like bad things would happen often. And the people began to discuss and decided that she was a witch. So they went and took her and the baby, and I don't know if they tied her to the tree, but anyway, they were going to burn her at the base of that tree. And when they lit the fire, the baby turned into a big cat with big green eyes and a red mouth, and it said it fled into the nearby woods. And at that moment, lightning struck the tree. When the smoke cleared, Cora was gone. No sign of her. But Cora, Cora, was burned into the trunk of the tree.
Okay.
And you can see the picture. I looked at it earlier. I wish we had where we could put it up, but you can go to Hatteras Island or just the Cora tree, and you can see today a C and what you can make out to be an O and an R and an A after hundreds of years. So I just thought that was a interesting tidbit.
It's kind of funny to tell that story. talking about St. Mary's a little while ago. Down in St. Mary's County, there's a road. Road's called Maud Dyer Road. Maud Dyer was a witch that lived back in the woods,
Uh-huh.
and she cursed the town of Leonardtown. And there is a rock that is now sits at the courthouse in Leonardtown that actually has two handprints in it. They say it came from her touching. And you can get down there and look at that rock, and you see the two handprints in that rock.
Cool.
Yeah, it's from the
Stuff like
1700s.
that.
Also, it's really neat.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
Really
So
neat.
I,
That'd be a good
that,
topic to talk about one night. We get witches.
yeah, I thought that would, well, since there is a theory that colonists went to Hatteras and it's nearby, I thought that might be a good little story to end up on.
Oh, that's cool. That's really
So
cool.
that's on Hatteras Island. Anybody wants to look it up, and if I got any of my facts wrong, please politely let me know. But I did the best I could with.
Yeah, we are not experts. We're just two friends doing a show together, talking about things and maybe why things can happen or why they can't. Don't take this as a God-given fact. Just enjoy the show. Maybe get something from it, and if you really are interested in it, look it up for yourself and do your own research. See what you come up with.
That's right.
That's the best thing I can say. We're just doing something that gives us. We're having fun doing what we're doing. But we enjoy talking about these things because we enjoy these things. So, but we're no
That's
by no means experts. We just two friends talking about it and maybe shining a light on something or piquing somebody's curiosity.
there may be somebody out there never heard of the Lost Colony,
That's
but
true.
likes that kind of thing. Now they've heard of it, they can go look it up, research it for themselves.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Never
Well,
know.
I think that's going to be it for this week. Next week, I'm not going to bring up what we're doing next week. I'm going to try to get a special guest. If I can get them, I will. I will publicize what there will be before the show's aired. But I'm working on getting somebody to talk about some things going on the property, and I hate to say we got somebody coming in, and for some reason they can't. Then we're kind of I don't want to be in that situation. So
Well,
next week we're going to try.
you can post when later in the week and
Yeah,
still let everybody know a day or two ahead of time what to look for.
yeah. That I will do. I'm gonna try to get this done with him. But until then, you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and enjoy searching for those mysteries out there because I know a lot of y'all enjoy it. So all I can say
Cool
is
deal.
God bless and have a good one.
God bless. Thank you for watching.